Faye Tozer, hello.
Oh, I'm going to pay you for that. Thank you. Hello.
You know how they say in interviews your first question is the most important?
Right.
Can I ask you my first question?
You may.
How would an ugly fat ginger guy with a small penis like me get to date someone like you?
How big is your personality?
Well, you see, there's a problem as well, you see. Before we can go any further than that, we're already struggling, to be honest. You know what? You're just my dream date, and I'll tell you for why. Because you've got the voice like a bird. You can sing, you can dance, you look great, you've got a personality, you've been in a group, everybody likes you. How would I get to date you?
Well, you can't. I'm married, so there you go. Question done.
All right, let's say that you weren't married and there was no other guy on the planet. Would I still not have a chance?
Well, you never know. You know, if you're the last man, a girl has needs.
So does a man. Mind you, then again, we all have hands. Listen, let me talk to you about you, because I sat there in a theatre, which is tiny, really, compared to all the other 2,000 or 3,000 seaters. This is an intimate venue where we've done a lot of our private little shows, and we get people down there. We had all different groups, and we've had 80s groups and things, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's intimate. But with that means that I can see you really close up. And congratulations on your arms.
My arms?
Yeah, your arms. Because I tell you what, if a woman's got nice arms, the rest of it's okay.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
Is that your theory? How come?
Because if you've got... Have you heard of bingo wings?
Yes.
Bingo wings dangle, the rest of it's not going to be any good, let me tell you.
Oh, really?
Honestly, I swear to God, Faye, it's true. And you were so close up and the light was on them and I thought, there's a woman who's toned.
But do you know what's really scary is when I have to take my tights off and I do the end scene and I've actually got no tights on, and being in front of a very, very close audience, it's like you're very scared about the cellulite on the back of your legs and stuff, and it's just like, get that bronzer on.
Well, I took my binoculars and I didn't see any of it.
Bless you for that.
Don't you worry. And if you want to call the police now, feel free.
I will,
We can pass your phone. Congratulations on this show, because it's called Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens. Is that right?
Certainly is, and I am the queen of the vixens.
Yeah, you are, and what a vixen you are indeed, because this show is as camp as tits, really, isn't it?
Really is.
I mean, it's like Christmas, it's like a fairy light, it's like Vegas, completely over the top, completely ridiculous, but you come out smiling.
Yes, you do.
And my God, do we need that now.
Yes, we do.
What a relief. And I enjoyed it, and it was really good, but I had, as I said to you honestly, I wouldn't want to sit in the first few rows of this production, because it's very intimate. It
is, and we do pick on our audience members, and we actually very much enjoy that as well, because I mean, we're put in a situation where you have to be interactive, and that's very scary for me, from being an artist that always performs to people who are way back, and lots of them, and you can't really see their faces. So this has been a real challenge for me, but it's good. And now I pick on people and stare them out and beat their kids up. No, I don't. But no, it's good. It's good and challenging for me.
Presumably, it's a very different discipline to doing normal theatre, because when you're on a stage, it's not really the audience. You're doing it at them more than with them, aren't you? So to have people, and you can actually see when you do a joke and they go, wasn't funny.
Yeah.
That must kind of intimidate you in a way.
Well, yes and no, because you, as I say, you can pick on them as well. But we do get heckled, and there's a fan base for this show, because it's been going for years, but about 10 years I think it's been going for. And this is the first time it's been in the West End with a huge budget and what have you. But they've got like an underlying script that they do. So if you get hardcore fans in, you do one line and then they'll repeat their line. And if you're not if you're not really on the ball, they can completely throw you. But it's great to get heckled because people are joining in, and it is an adult panto really when it comes down to it. So loads of innuendos, but brilliant.
In you what?
Innuendos, darling.
In you what?
In your
That's a little joke, you see.
Right.
So you've got nice weapons as well in this, haven't you?
Certainly have, darling. No, we've got air dryers. our disco beams to kill the murderer with. So yeah,
it's a lot of fun. But I don't know whether this is slightly annoying being in a show that is so much fun, because to keep that energy up every single night, and you've got to look so great, and you've got to give it all. And as I say, because you're so close to the audience, and I can't tell you can literally poker. I mean, you're that close.
Don't encourage them.
No, really, but I considered it at one point, but then I realised about the court case that's pending. And you're that close, and everything has to be so perfect, because if it goes wrong, A, I suppose you can get out of it because it's kind of a silly show and probably nobody would know.
Yeah.
But B, they're right there, and that would completely freak me out.
Well, we did have an incident tonight, actually, where there's a magic trick that goes on stage. I get in the box, disappear, and then come back again. And at the end, the guy's supposed to shoot a gun, big confetti blow, and then I appear. Well, it didn't happen tonight. And so, luckily, because it's an ad-libbing type of show, he was like that, okay, get all the audience to say bang, and then that was my cue. But you can get round it because it's that kind of show. So it's good.
That would be a bit like sleeping with me, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let's move on and talk about Steps, to be honest with you. And this was so big, wasn't it? And the thing that launched you. And you were always the pretty one in it, weren't you, really?
Bless you.
You were, though.
I like your compliments. Keep going.
Thank you. No, I'm going to. It's not to get me anywhere. You're married. I don't know why I'm bothering.
Oh.
Might as well talk to the wall. It would be. Anyway, no. This was a great band, and you had such big success around the world, and then you come out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the bit where I can't understand, because I'm a guy who's on the radio.
Right.
Nobody sees me. There's no excitement. There's no real adrenaline, because it's just me talking to a microphone and my listeners. You've got 10,000 fans screaming at you, and then suddenly you're in your back bedroom singing to the microphone or a hairbrush.
Your hairdryer. Yeah.
How do you kind of cope with that kind of non-fame?
Well, it was quite funny to start off with. It was more scary being unemployed. Do you know what I mean? Facts are facts. We've all got bills to pay. But to tell you the truth, I'm not somebody who searches out for fame. I'm quite happy with being successful of what I do. I'm more than happy with my own friends, in my own house, behind closed doors, and I'm not really a fame searcher, but of course that does come along with the job. So when you do your press and stuff and get everything known, hype it up, promo, get the job out, lovely. But, I'm not really gagging for that sort of thing. That's not really what drives me. I just like what I do. So.
Faye Tozer, what are you gagging for?
Not you tonight, darling.
You're exhausted. Is it a 2-show day today, or is that tomorrow?
Sorry, babe. No, it was not a 2-day show. 2 days are on Friday night. We've got a late night showing on a Friday night that starts at 11:30, and it's basically if you've been out having a beer and you fancy something extra, come along and have a show and heckle us, really. So yeah.
There are many places in Soho when you can get something extra after you've had a beer.
Well, come down to us instead and try something different.
You're more value for money, are you?
Well, I'll give you a show.
Well, I'll make a note of that, I think.
Right.
Listen, let's take a song from Steps before we get taken off the air. And this is my favourite, and it's perfect for our audience as well, because it's Tragedy, that remake that you did. And it was just so over the top. And again, a bit like this show, just completely camp, isn't it?
Right up my street.
Why is it this music, camp shows in the West End? What are you trying to tell me?
Well, I'm obviously doing it well, darling, and I say.
There's the quote of the night. How fun is it being in one of these bands? Because we were just talking, and I was saying that I have them in occasionally. I try and avoid them normally because these bands are so pressured for time and their abilities, and they're on everything and they're everywhere. 1 minute they're in Germany, the next minute they're here. And it's as if you don't almost get to enjoy it because you're so many places in such a little space of time that it's just one big blur. Yeah,
well, it really is. You don't really know whether you're coming or going, and you get the same questions all the time. You know who answers what, and it becomes a regulated sort of autopilot thing. I mean, it is a completely amazing experience, and I really wouldn't have changed anything, and I don't regret anything, and it was fantastic. But you do end up being on autopilot, which, then you decide, well, do I want a life or do I, want a career? And, it's a tough one. But they work so hard, all these bands, and people shouldn't knock them for that.
How showbiz is it? I mean, are you put up in 5-star? Are you flown first class?
That bit's nice, yeah.
So they at least do give you the compliments of showbiz.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you're kind of paying for it yourself anyway, because they'll still take it out of your royalties. I shouldn't be giving this away, should I?
No, I've talked about it before. I mean, the sad thing about people like Hearsay is that you talk to them now and they'll say, well, I've got no money, because if you don't write the songs, that's where the money is. Yes
and no. I think the money more days is in the touring. I mean, if you get a great tour together, you can earn some nice big bucks. So, yeah, touring's definitely a money spinner.
And presumably that's why you wanted to do it. I mean, the performing, being a singer is why you did it, not talking to people like me, really.
Absolutely, but also you get to, make your own show. You can do all the designing, you can choose who comes in to do your lighting, sound, and you can choose, your extra songs. And, yeah, it's a load of fun doing touring. That's the best bit.
It's interesting seeing people like you, because, joking aside from all the physical stuff, and you are still beautiful, by the way. I just say that again, just so you remember.
Aww.
But when I interview all these people, there's a few people who always stick out over maybe a 10-week period of people you interview. And when I saw you the first time, and I interviewed you briefly over the telephone when you were in Cardiff doing Tell Me on a Sunday, you see you on stage and you've just got something about you which is extraordinary. And that's where I think the X Factor does come in, that if you hear you sing, you know that you're just not an average band member of some group that's touring the world. Because if you take them out of that context, most of them can't sing. But you're so unique as yourself.
I would actually beg to differ, because, I mean, there is a big fuss that people can't sing in pop groups, but you've got to have a product to be able to make it. I mean, you can't just have somebody who can't sing. There are a lot of things you can do, but you've got to have something to start off with. So I'd like to protect all those singers out there. But in general, I mean, I've always worked really hard at what I do, and I do get into a whole complete bubble when I'm on stage, and I really believe in what I do. So I really enjoy it. But I also enjoy watching people who have the same thing. And when people are a bit dead in their eyes, I don't enjoy it as much. And yeah, some people do have the X Factor and some people don't.
If you're wondering who we're talking to Faye Tozer, who was formerly in Step. She's now in Saucy Jag Space Vixens, which is on at the Venue, which is just off Leicester Square in London, and it's going to be touring, I'm sure, because it's the kind of show that can. There's one thing I'm going to say to you about this show and you, and I don't want you to take this as a criticism of the show, because I really did enjoy it, and it really is worth a good night out for fun.
Go on.
But I think you are kind of better than this show in a way. You have such a beautiful voice. There must be other roles that you want to do, is there?
Well, there's a load of things that I want to do. I mean, I've got loads of boxes to tick, but I think it's really important for me to sort of get down gritty and do something, smaller, and then, challenge myself. Because if you end up doing all the big things that everybody else does, then what are you gaining? You're just going to be following everybody else. And this is a fantastic show, and it is different, and it is quirky, and it's funny. But also, I think, as we said before, about the getting that close to the audience, that was one of my main things to sort of overcome, getting close to an audience, so yeah. But it's important to do gritty things, it really is.
I suppose it's interesting because when you're doing Steps and you're doing 10,000 seater arenas, and then you're doing a 200, 300 seater venue where you can see everybody's eyes, reaction and everything, it's kind of complete opposite, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. And it's good for me.
Congratulations on those top notes as well, because I see theatre all around the world and I love it. I genuinely love theatre, good theatre. I'm more into the fun shows than the serious. I'm not really into your Sound of Music kind of stuff.
Right.
But your top notes are just so perfect. And there are some notes when they come and you kind of... Do you ever sit in a theatre and you're kind of going, is she going to get that? Is she going to get that?
Did I make you feel like that?
No, not really, because you're just so pure on those top notes. And I wonder how you do it on a 2-show day. I mean, what kind of care do you take of yourself?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I've been doing this for so many years and I'm not a very good girl at looking after myself. But I should say all the right things, but I won't.
So you're just a fag and a glass of Evian every now and again, are you?
And a port before you go on, absolutely, yeah.
Helps with confidence as well.
That's it.
Let's just talk about the actual theatre itself, because the Venue, I first got to know it when Taboo was in there with Boy George.
Yes.
And we interviewed Julian Clary when he was in there and he hated it.
Oh, really?
Because there's no stage door. You cannot escape the public. You have to go out the entrance that they come into.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've always been pretty good with people that come down. My whole thing was I met a famous comedian when I was 14 and he completely was really, really horrible to me, and I got so upset about the whole experience that I promised myself that I'd never, ever be like that, because everyone's human and it's the first time that they meet you, even though you meet thousands of people. So that's kind of one of my morals and one of my rules. So I'm usually pretty good, unless people start poking at me and being horrible, and then I poke them back.
Did you ever worry when you were when we were talking about Steps and in the group, that you're so controlled and you couldn't really have a personality as such? They created the personality and then you had to work with it. That it really is all smiles, and Lee Ryan fell foul of having an opinion. Right. I mean, is there not a side of you that wants to do a late night phone-in and just slag off one-parent families or something?
No, I'm the wrong person to ask again for that, because I'm not really that sort of person. I come from Dunstable in Bedfordshire. I've got great parents who follow me around. I mean, they've been to see the show 4 times. I'm very, very grounded. My sister would kick my butt if I became anything else. And yeah, I'm just not that sort of person. I mean, yes, I have my opinions, but I keep them to myself, because it just becomes a big slagging match. You say one thing in one paper, they bring it up in another, and do you know what? It doesn't do anyone any favours at all, unless you want the publicity. So it depends how you want to work it.
I'm proud of you that you haven't gone down, for that reason, down the line of anything for publicity, because I think it so takes away from your talent. And if you have got a core ability, seeing you live is enough to know that you don't need all of that.
But also, I think these days, you can't get the big jobs unless you do something radical, like your reality TV things. And I think it's such a shame that that's the way the press is and the TV is at the moment. But that's the way of the world. And if you want the job, sometimes you have to do it.
Were you born singing?
No. I wasn't. I was going to be a dancer, and I did my dancing first. Singing, I could always sing in tune, but my voice has developed as I got older. So no, I wasn't really.
I love all that top stuff you do when you get those big gob kind of notes.
I shout.
No, I love it. It just so impresses me, because I just sound like a chain coming off a motorbike, even when I'm talking, let alone singing. And to be able to do that, I think is such a skill, and especially live.
Yeah.
8 shows a week. It's so commendable. And congratulations on keeping pure to what you are and not selling out and doing Big Brother and all of that. Would you ever consider it?
I've been asked to do a few things, but no. I mean, I can't eat bugs, and I I don't like people to see me, with my hair dodgy and poodle-like it naturally is. So, no. I think keep the glamour where the glamour is. Idolise people and keep that beauty and that magic, because there's too much realness these days, and that's not what showbiz is supposed to be about.
Congratulations on this show. It's called the Saucy Jack Space Vixens. It is outrageously funny. And if you go in there, and if you're wanting Shakespeare, this probably isn't the show for you, is it?
Absolutely not.
It's for a good fun night out.
Yeah.
It's on at the venue, which is in Leicester Square in London. I'm sure it'll tour as well up and down the country at some point. And I wish you all the best. Final question, of course. Is there anything you want to do in the West End or tour that would be ideal for you at the moment?
Oh, there's loads. I'm not even going to name them because it will look like I'm asking for a job. But no, there's plenty in town that I want to do, and I'd like to stick in town.
I think you make a good Ula in The Producers.
Oh, I'm not tall enough. We tried that one. I'm too short.
I'll have a word. We had the star in Fred Applegate last night, so I'll have a word with Mel Brooks. Don't worry. Leave it with me. Listen, congratulations on the show, and thanks for coming in and sparing your time after a performance.
No worries.
Because after I've performed, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Darling.
And those arms. Congratulations again on those arms.
Thank you.
Just such a marvel of nature. Faye Tozer, thanks for coming into Capital Gold.
The Alex Belfield In Conversation podcast with daisymedia.co.uk.